Hi, welcome again to the Old Principal. I am the Old Principal, and we're going to study a little English, and we're going to look at another historical person. That means a person from history. This is lesson number 117, and the story is about Johnny Appleseed. So we'll let Mrs. Ash come here, and you can tell us the story. Well, at least read us the story.
Sure. Most Americans have heard the legend of Johnny Appleseed, who went about the frontier scattering apple seeds. But unlike many legends, there really was a Johnny Appleseed. His real name was John Chapman, and he lived between 1775 and 1845. John really loved apples, and he wanted everybody to have the opportunity to enjoy them. So he went westward from Philadelphia with apple seeds and planted them throughout the Ohio River Valley. He roamed the wild countryside vigilantly looking for places young apple trees could flourish, usually by a spring or on a hill with rich soil. With a hopeful prayer, he gently pushed those little seeds into the earth and built a brush fence to protect the saplings. Every fall, he returned to the cider presses in Pennsylvania, where he selected good seeds from the discarded apple pressings. These he washed, dried, and bagged for planting the following spring. As the orchards grew, he sold or traded the young trees to thousands of new farmers that were settling the land. He didn't eat meat, but he always carried a stew pot or kettle with him. John Chapman never married, but he was deeply religious and loved people, especially children. As the settlers moved into the wilderness, his lonely nights were fewer because he was a welcomed guest at every cabin. On most nights, he'd hold them enthralled with his stories of those wild woods, or he'd read to them from the Bible. As a result of planting all those trees for about 50 years, this one man provided mountains of apples to feed thousands of people for several generations. No one can estimate how many seeds John planted or the number of orchards that he created in the territory south of the Great Lakes between Ohio and Mississippi rivers. Even to this day, that region is a rich source of beautiful apple trees.
Yeah. Do you remember hearing the story about Johnny Appleseed?
Oh, yes.
And I think anybody who grew up in America, I should say, and was educated in America, heard the story of Johnny Appleseed, and he was a real person. And so today, this is number 117, Johnny Appleseed. With that, you're free for a few minutes.
Sure.
But don't eat any apples. You have to share one with me. Okay, here we go. Johnny Appleseed. This is one artist's way of looking at Johnny Appleseed, and you can see that these are all apple trees flowering, 开花的. Okay, let's go on. Most Americans have heard the legend. A legend is 传奇, okay, 传奇 of Johnny Appleseed, who went about the frontier. What is a frontier? 边疆. Frontier is probably an area that's not too well developed. It's right on the edge. Usually we think of frontier as being on the edge, 在边缘, okay? The frontier. So in 边疆, okay, what was he doing? He was scattering apple seeds, 苹果种子, okay? So 种子 is the seed in an apple, right? Okay, that's the reason why they called him Johnny Appleseed. Okay, my name is John, but people when I was young called me Johnny Ash. Now, Johnny Appleseed, was that really his name? Let's go on. Next. But unlike many legends, 不像很多传奇, there really was a Johnny Appleseed. Okay, this is not a story. It's really true. His name was John Chapman. John Chapman. And he lived between 1775 and 1845. So he lived 70 years. Now, for 50 years, he is planting apple seeds. Okay, that's the reason why eventually people called him Johnny Appleseed, even though his real name was Johnny Chapman. Going on. John really loved apples. Obviously, he loved apples. Okay, he wanted everyone to have an opportunity to enjoy them. So, what did he do? He wanted everybody to 享受, okay, opportunity, 有机会 to enjoy, 享受吃苹果. Going on. So he went westward from Philadelphia. Now, when we think of west, now we think of West Coast. But in those days, West Coast was not West Coast. It was more like Middle America, not even Middle America. It was, but it was considered west, well, at least west of Philadelphia. How do you say Philadelphia? 费城. Okay, that was a simple one. Sometimes these names of places are hard to pronounce in Chinese. Okay, but here, Philadelphia, 费城, and he had apple seeds, and he planted them throughout the Ohio River Valley. Ohio River, 一条河, Valley, 山谷, okay? And so here he is going from place to place, planting apple seeds. Okay? Now, it says here, going on, he roamed, okay? Going on, he roamed the wild countryside. Okay? Wild countryside. 乡下, okay? Country is 乡下. 荒凉的, in this case, 荒凉的. We're going to come back to wild in a few minutes, and we'll have a little different translation. But he roamed. That means he's walking back and forth. Okay? The wild countries, 荒凉的乡下, vigilantly looking for places. Okay, vigilantly, 故意的, 有精神的, 找 what? Places young apple trees could flourish. What does it mean to flourish? It simply means to grow very well. Okay? If I am flourishing, then that means I am being very successful. Okay? In this case, to flourish means to grow successfully or grow very well. And where were these places? By a spring. Spring. Do you know what a spring is? Okay, a spring, that means 泉水, 泉水. So 泉水旁, okay, by a spring, or on a mountain top, okay, a hill, 小丘陵 or 山头上, okay, with rich soil. What does it mean to have rich soil? Okay, 很肥的这个土. Now, some soil is not very rich, 不够肥, so you have to 下肥料. But so he looked for places that had rich soil, and then he'd say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to plant an apple seed. Go ahead, but not just one apple seed. With a hopeful prayer, so we're going to discover that Johnny Chapman, or Johnny Appleseed, was a religious man. So he would pray. For every tree he planted, he said a prayer. He said, God, help this tree to grow up and be strong. With a hopeful prayer, he gently, 轻轻地, pushed the little seeds into the earth. Okay, he pushed it down into the earth and built a brush fence. Okay, do you know what brush is? These are little trees. We say in Chinese, 灌木, but they're little trees. So he put other things around where it's kind of as a fence, like a how would you say a fence? Something around there, hulan. So to protect. Hey, listen. You know what deer, shanlu, you know what they like? They like to eat little apple trees. They also like to eat apples. Did you know that? If I have time, I'll tell you about the apple tree in my backyard. Okay? Now, going on. Oh, let's go back to the last one. Can you move back to the last one? Yeah. A sapling. You know what a sapling is? A sapling is just a young tree. A young tree. Okay? So they wanted to 保护 the young trees as they are starting to grow up. Going on. Every fall, 秋季的时候, he returned to the cider presses. Okay? Now, what is cider? Apple cider is 苹果酒, but sometimes it's not 苹果酒, it's 苹果汁. Okay? Okay? So, 苹果酒榨. These are places that squeezed the apples and made them into 苹果汁, 苹果榨. Okay? Okay? In Pennsylvania, 这个是一个州, Pennsylvania, where he selected good seeds, of course. Then he would select the good seed from the discarded apple pressings. Okay, an apple pressing. If you squeeze an apple, think of it this way. Let me put this down. Okay, you take an apple and you squeeze, and you squeeze, and you squeeze, and you want the juice, but you don't want what's left. So you throw that out. Those are apple pressings. Of course, in the middle of the apple pressings, what are you going to find? Seeds. 这个种子. Okay? And so he chose these seeds He pulled the seeds out and he dried the seeds and he prepared to plant them the next spring. Okay, so I don't know what he did during the winter. Doesn't say in our story today, but it says discarded. When you throw the 苹果渣, you throw that away, discard, 扔掉, okay, 所扔掉的, discarded. Okay, going on. These he washed the seeds. He washed the seeds. He dried them and bagged them. Bagged them? What does that mean? That means he put them in there, 放在袋子. Okay? Okay? For 为了要 the following 要来的春季. 要 Of course, he's going to go to the west. 还是要种它们呢. Okay, going on. As the orchards grew, 果园. So he's planting orchards. He's planting orchards here, there, everywhere. He's planting orchards. As the orchards grew, he sold or traded the young trees. Okay, so the young trees, these saplings, okay, remember let's just look at the saplings, or traded. Okay, what does it mean to trade? Okay, it means that he is 交换. He said, I have apple trees, you have food. I want food, you need an apple tree. So he traded his 交换, and that's how he made his living. Okay, he traded the young trees to the thousands of new farmers that were settling the land. Okay, they were settling the land. Okay, 开荒定居. Okay, 开垦. So these people are going out, they're going into new area, they're going to settle it. In fact, we even call them settlers. These are people who have just come to a new area and they're 开垦. They are just starting to develop the land. Going on. He didn't eat meat. Well, that was interesting. I don't remember this part of the story. He was vegetarian. He didn't eat meat, 他不吃肉, but he always carried a stew pot or a kettle on him. Okay, what is a stew pot? Okay, stew pot, we would say in Chinese, 锅, okay, 大锅. So he always carried the 大锅. In fact, some pictures of him actually show him wearing the stew pot on his head like a hat. To me, that would hurt. But anyway, he always carried this pot with him, and it might have been about like this, and he made his food in there because he had fires, 这个引火, and so he cooked on open fires a lot of the time. Okay, going on. John Chapman never married, 从来没有结婚, but he was deeply religious. 他非常非常属灵. Okay, and he loved people, 很爱上人民, especially children. He loved little children. And I think it'll tell us that he loved to tell stories. Going on. As the settlers, remember what a settler is? Somebody is going to a new area and 定居 in that new area. Okay? The settlers moved into the wilderness. Okay? What is the wilderness? 这个荒野, and then they're moving out. Nobody lives there. Wilderness. his lonely nights were fewer. OK， 他孤单的夜晚越来越少。Why? Because they were a lot more people, and they 欢迎他 welcomed him as a guest at every cabin. Okay, what is a cabin? A cabin is a house, but a 木屋. Okay, so lots of people knew who he was. Okay, going on. Most nights, he'd hold them enthralled. What does it mean to hold a person enthralled? Okay. 使他们很着迷. In other words, I'm not sure if I can say it in Chinese, but I can tell you it's just like, their mouth is wide open and their eyes are wide open. That is being enthralled as he told stories from the wild woods, 森林，这个荒野的森林. Or he'd sometimes read to them from the Bible. Sometimes he'd actually take 基督教的圣经, a Bible, and he'd read to them from the Bible. People loved Johnny Appleseed. I think that is very, very clear. Going on. As a result of planting all those trees, 结果呢, for about 50 years. So now we're talking about a long time. From 1925, 1825, sorry, for, was it 1825? When did he start this? Anyway, he did it for 50 years. 50 years. Now that's a long, long time to be planting apple trees. And it says here, as a result, 结果呢, 50年种苹果树. This one man provided mountains, 一大堆. Now it says mountains. No, it wasn't a real mountain, but sometimes we use the word mountains to mean 一大堆. Okay, mountains of apples to feed thousands of people for 好几代, several generations. Going on, no one can estimate, okay? No one can estimate, 没有办法估计 how many seeds John planted. Nobody knows. I mean, if you're doing it for 50 years, no way of knowing how many he planted. Or the number of orchards, 果园, he created, 他所创造的果园. He was doing this for 50 years. An orchard is 果园. Going on. In the territory south of the Great Lakes, between the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. Now, this is just an area of America between the Ohio River and the Mississippi River. 这个两条河, okay, 之间. And for 50 years, he's planting seeds, creating, making 果园, and he's selling, and he's sharing, and he's doing all this. Who gave him money? He had no money. Was he a happy person? He was an absolute happy person. I guess that the reason why he was happy, we'll ask Mrs. Ash if this is true, is because he was doing something for someone else. Going on. Even to this day, even now, and right now, that region is a rich source. What is a rich source? 很丰富的资源 okay, source, okay, 来源 of beautiful apple trees. So they got apple trees, maybe new types of apples, but there are many apple trees in that area. And we actually, okay, Mrs. Ash, you need to come here. Okay, we don't have too much time.
Yes.
But we actually were in that area in Berrien Springs, Michigan, maybe a little bit north. And we actually lived by an apple orchard.
Yes, we did.
Probably not Johnny Appleseed's orchard.
No.
No, because we're too young. Well, I mean, we were young then, but that was many, many years ago. But that's interesting. So, do you think if you could go out and plant apple trees for 50 years?
Well, he had this dream of doing something with apples and sharing.
Yeah.
So look at where it got him.
Well,
It was wonderful.
Yeah, he became a very famous person in history because he was doing one thing, sharing apples with others. And to this day, everybody knows the story of John Chapman, and we call him Johnny Appleseed.
Yes.
Okay, well, this is Johnny Appleseed. He looks like a happy man, doesn't he? Okay, well, let's go on and share with us how you can write to us. Our email address, theoldprinciple@gmail.com, theoldprinciple@gmail.com. And you can even find it on our website. 在我们的网站，你也可以下载这些资料。Okay? www.theoldprinciple.org. And with that, I think I need to go out and eat an apple. See you later.
Bye.